You know, in our hyper-connected world, we're all communicating, constantly. We're sending texts, we're sharing videos, we're building these entire stories with so much more than just words. But what happens when these powerful new tools are used to reclaim a narrative, a story that has been controlled by others for centuries? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore.
And that's really the core question, isn't it? It's a question for so many communities all around the world. But for Indigenous peoples, it cuts right to the heart of identity, of rights, and of sovereignty. The answer, as we're about to see, is all about mastering a new kind of language, one that goes way beyond just the written word.
Okay, so first, we've got to understand the problem we're trying to solve here. For generations, the story of Indigenous communities has so often been told for them and not by them.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Mainstream news, movies, even history books, they've frequently relied on tired old stereotypes, or maybe worse, they've just left Indigenous perspectives out of the conversation completely. This is where digital media really becomes a game changer. It creates this huge opportunity to challenge that history and empower groups that have been pushed to the margins for far too long.
So how do you fight back against those old, worn-out narratives? Well, you build a better one, using a much more powerful set of tools. So let's take a look inside this new toolkit for advocacy.
The key concept here is called multimodal discourse literacy, or MDL for short. Now, this isn't just about being good at social media. Nope. It's a whole communication skill set for our digital age. It's the ability to create meaning in ways that, frankly, words alone just can't.
And to really get MDL, it helps to break it down into two parts. Think of it like this. On one hand, you have multimodal discourse. That's the what. It's the actual communication, right? The message you're creating with text and images and sound. Then, on the other hand, you have multimodal literacy, and that's the how. That's the skill, the ability to actually use and blend all those different modes to make your point powerfully. You really need both to make an impact.
And look, this isn't some lofty academic theory. These are the tools that so many of us are using every single day. The choice of a particular image, the power of a viral hashtag, or a sharp satirical meme, even something as simple as the layout of a web page. All of these things work together to build meaning. MDL is about learning to wield all of them with purpose.
All right, so let's see how this all comes together for real-world action. How is this multimodal toolkit actually being used, right now, to drive these powerful movements for Indigenous rights?
This quote just nails it. It shows that modern activism is creative, it's strategic, and it is so deeply rooted in community. We're not just talking about protest signs anymore. We're talking about actively challenging and changing the whole conversation through humor, through shared culture, and by building brand new spaces for connection online.
And you can see these incredible examples all over the world. In Canada, you have the hashtag #IdleNoMore movement, which used social media to organize massive, powerful protests for land rights. Down in Australia, the hashtag SOS Black Australia campaign went totally global to fight the closure of Aboriginal communities. And then there's the Tweel Wow Station's use of photo voice, which is brilliant. They gave community members cameras to document the real, on-the-ground impact of a pipeline project, telling a story that data and reports never, ever could.
But this is about so much more than just one viral campaign or a clever hashtag. It's about the deep, long-term impact of this entire shift in communication.
See, mastering these multimodal tools, it isn't just about getting a message out there. It's a fundamental strategy for empowerment, for reclaiming narratives, and for creating real, structural change. It's truly transformative. So, why does all of this matter so much? Well, because by becoming masters of MDL, Indigenous communities can assert their rights on a global stage. They can directly correct these decades, even centuries of misrepresentation and completely reshape the public narrative. And in this really powerful move, they're taking the technology of the dominant culture and adapting it for their own political and cultural needs. That challenges colonial authority and actively pushes forward the process of decolonization.
Which really leaves us with this final, big question. Gaining access to the tools, that's the first step. But the real ongoing challenge is making sure those voices are actually heard, that they're respected, and that they're acted upon. The rise of multimodal literacy has changed the rules of the game for sure, giving more people than ever the power to tell their own story. The question now is, who's listening?